Imagine a woman who spent 15 years building the life she always dreamed about. Her name was Maya. She was successful, independent, and earning more money than she ever had before. From the outside, everything looked perfect. She had the apartment, the designer clothes, the latest technology, the expensive subscriptions, the lifestyle that seemed like proof she had finally made it. But one night, while organizing her finances, she discovered something that completely changed the way she viewed money. She calculated how much she had spent over the years trying to look successful. Not investing, not creating freedom, not building something that could grow, just maintaining an image. The number shocked her. She realized she had spent years buying things that gave her a temporary feeling of success, but quietly stole opportunities from her future. And that is the hidden problem with money today. Many people are not struggling because they don't earn enough. They are struggling because they are spending on things that no longer provide real value. The world has changed. Prices have changed. Technology has changed. The way people build wealth has changed. But many spending habits have stayed exactly the same. The question wealthy people ask before spending money is different. They don't ask, "Does this make me look successful?" They ask, "Does this move me closer to the life I actually want?" Because every dollar has a job. It can create comfort today, or it can create freedom tomorrow. And sometimes the things we buy are quietly choosing our future for us. Today, we're breaking down 10 things that are no longer worth your money. Not because enjoying life is wrong, not because spending money is bad, but because smart people understand the difference between buying something valuable and buying something that only feels valuable for a moment. Let's begin. Number 10, constantly upgrading your smartphone. A few years ago, Sarah bought the newest smartphone the week it was released. She was excited. The camera was better. The design looked premium. Everyone online was talking about it. For the first few days, she felt like she had upgraded her lifestyle. But 3 months later, it was just a phone. It sat on her desk. It performed the same basic tasks her old phone already handled. This is something millions of people experience. The excitement of a purchase is often strongest before and immediately after buying. Behavioral psychologists call this adaptation. The human brain quickly adjusts to new possessions. The thing that once felt special becomes normal. The problem is that many people repeat this cycle over and over. A new phone creates excitement. The excitement disappears. A newer phone appears. The cycle starts again. Technology companies understand this perfectly. They are not just selling devices. They are selling the feeling of being updated, the feeling of keeping up, the feeling that the newest product represents progress. But progress is not always owning the newest version. Sometimes progress is keeping your money invested while someone else keeps paying to replace something that already works. Imagine a woman named Jessica. Instead of replacing her phone every 2 years, she keeps it for 5 years and invests the difference. The amount she saves may not feel life-changing in one moment, but over decades, invested money has the ability to grow. That is the difference between consuming and building. The wealthy mindset is not, never buy anything new. It is, make sure what you buy is worth what you are giving up. Because every purchase has an invisible price, not just the money, the opportunity you lose. And this brings us to something even more powerful. Number 9, buying luxury items to prove success. For years, Emily believed success had a look. She thought successful women wore expensive brands, drove impressive cars, carried designer bags. She believed people respected what they could see. So whenever she earned more money, her lifestyle expanded. A nicer apartment, more expensive clothes, luxury items she barely used. But eventually she noticed something. The people she was trying to impress were not thinking about her nearly as much as she imagined. And that realization is one of the biggest financial lessons many people learn too late. Most people are spending money to communicate success instead of creating success. Psychologists describe this as status signaling. Humans naturally use possessions to communicate identity. But the trap is that status is expensive to maintain. A luxury purchase does not only cost the price tag. It creates pressure. Because once you buy something expensive, your mind starts protecting that image. You feel the need to match it. A more expensive lifestyle, a more expensive environment, more expensive expectations. And suddenly, your income becomes dedicated to maintaining an appearance. Many wealthy people think differently. They understand that looking rich and being financially secure are completely different things. A person can appear wealthy while being financially fragile. Another person can look ordinary while quietly building investments, businesses, and assets. The biggest financial advantage is not convincing people you have money. It is keeping enough money so you don't have to worry. Because true wealth is not the ability to buy everything. It is the ability to choose what matters. And once you understand that, the next things on this list become even more revealing. Number 8, paying for convenience. You could easily create yourself. A few years ago, Olivia had a habit. Every morning before work, she would buy coffee. Not because she loved coffee that much. Not because she couldn't make it at home, but because it became part of her routine. A small purchase, a small reward, a small moment of comfort. And that is exactly why these expenses are so powerful. The problem with many financial mistakes is that they don't look dangerous. Nobody goes broke from one coffee. Nobody destroys their future with one delivery order. The danger comes from thousands of tiny decisions repeated over years. This is called the latte factor, the idea that small recurring expenses can quietly reduce your ability to build wealth. But the deeper lesson is not about coffee. It is about convenience. Modern life has created an environment where almost everything can be outsourced. Food delivery, cleaning services, subscriptions, instant purchases, same-day shipping. The question is not whether these services are bad. Sometimes they save valuable time. The real question is, am I buying back my time or am I avoiding responsibility? Because there is a difference. A high-income woman might pay for convenience because her time is extremely valuable. But someone trying to build financial stability may be using convenience as a habit that keeps her stuck. A woman named Rachel realized this when she reviewed her monthly spending. She discovered she was paying for dozens of small conveniences. Food delivery fees, unused memberships, random online purchases, things that felt harmless individually. Together, they were costing her hundreds every month. The surprising part? She wasn't happier. The purchases weren't improving her life. They were just making her less aware of where her money was going. Wealth is often built through boring decisions. Preparing instead of constantly buying. Planning instead of reacting. Creating systems instead of relying on motivation. Because every time you remove unnecessary convenience, you create more control. And control is one of the foundations of financial freedom. Number 7, buying a bigger house than you actually need. For many Americans, a bigger house represents success. The larger kitchen, the extra bedrooms, the impressive neighborhood, the feeling that you have finally moved up in life. And for some people, buying a larger home is a smart decision. But the problem begins when the house becomes a financial burden instead of a place that supports your life. Consider Amanda. She worked hard, received a promotion, and decided it was time to upgrade. She bought a beautiful home that stretched her budget. At first, everything felt exciting. She invited friends over. She enjoyed decorating. She felt proud. But slowly, the hidden costs appeared. Higher property taxes, higher insurance, more maintenance, more furniture, more repairs. The house that was supposed to represent freedom started controlling her choices. This is something many people overlook. A home is not just the mortgage payment. It is the entire lifestyle attached to it. Research in personal finance often highlights housing as one of the largest expenses affecting household wealth. Because when too much income goes toward housing, less money is available for investing, emergencies, and opportunities. The wealth-building question is not, how big of a house can I buy? It is, how much freedom does this house allow me to keep? A smaller home that gives you room to invest can sometimes create more wealth than a dream home that consumes every dollar. The goal is not owning the biggest space. The goal is owning a life where money gives you options. Because a house should support your future. Your future should not exist just to support your house. Number 6, expensive car payments that destroy financial flexibility. When Nina bought her luxury SUV, she thought it represented everything she had achieved. Years of hard work, career growth, financial progress. She believed the car was a reward, and emotionally, it was. But months later, something changed. The payment was always there. Insurance increased. Maintenance costs were higher. Fuel became more expensive. The car that once made her feel successful slowly became another responsibility. This is the hidden problem with expensive vehicles. They often lose value while creating ongoing expenses. A car is one of the few purchases where people frequently spend more money to own something that becomes worth less every year. But the psychology behind car buying is deeper. Cars are not just transportation. They are identity. They communicate something. Confidence, success, taste, status. That emotional connection is exactly why people often spend far more than necessary. A reliable vehicle that gets you where you need to go can create financial freedom. A vehicle chosen mainly to impress others can delay it. A woman named Lauren made a different decision. Instead of upgrading her car after getting a raise, she kept her reliable vehicle and invested the difference. Nobody noticed. Nobody complimented her decision. But years later, that choice gave her something far more valuable than a nicer car. Options. And that is the pattern behind almost every wealthy decision. The smartest financial choices are often invisible. Nobody sees the money you didn't spend. Nobody celebrates the investment account you quietly built. But those invisible decisions create visible results later. Because wealth is not created by how much you can display. It is created by how much you can keep, grow, and control. And the next items reveal some of the biggest traps hiding in everyday spending. Number 5. Buying things just because they are on sale. For years, Mia believed she was a smart shopper. She loved discounts. Whenever she saw 50% off, limited time deal, or clearance, she felt like she was winning. But one day, she looked around her home and realized something. She wasn't saving money. She was spending money on things she never planned to buy. And that is the hidden psychology behind discounts. A lower price can make something feel valuable even when the product itself has little value. Retailers understand that humans are naturally attracted to the idea of getting a deal. The brain focuses on the money saved instead of the money spent. A $100 item marked down to $50 feels like a victory. But if you never needed the item, you didn't save $50. You lost $50. This is why wealthy people often think differently about purchases. They don't ask, "How much am I saving?" They ask, "Would I buy this if it wasn't discounted?" Because a discount does not transform a bad purchase into a smart one. It only makes the mistake cheaper. A woman named Chloe started using a simple rule. Before buying anything on sale, she waited 48 hours. No emotional decisions, no impulse. And she discovered something surprising. Most of the things she wanted disappeared from her mind. The desire was temporary. The money was permanent. The lesson is simple. A good deal is only good when it creates real value. Paying for subscriptions you barely use. When Ava checked her bank account, she found something strange. Every month, small payments were leaving her account. A streaming service, a fitness app, a premium membership, a software subscription, a meal service. None of them seemed expensive. But together, they created a financial leak. This is one of the biggest challenges of modern spending. Companies no longer only sell products. They sell continuous access. Small monthly payments feel harmless because they don't create the same emotional reaction as a large purchase. But over time, they become invisible expenses. Behavioral finance researchers call this passive spending, the tendency to continue paying for things because canceling requires effort. The danger is not one subscription. The danger is losing awareness. A woman named Natalie decided to do a financial cleanup. She reviewed every recurring charge. She canceled what she didn't use. The result wasn't just extra money. It was clarity, because knowing where your money goes gives you power over it. Many people focus on earning more, but sometimes the first step toward wealth is simply stopping money from quietly leaving, buying expensive experiences to keep up with others. Social media has changed the way people spend. Years ago, someone could take an expensive vacation and only a few people would know. Today, one trip can become a public performance. Luxury hotels, designer outfits, exclusive restaurants, perfect photos. And slowly, people begin spending money not because they want the experience, but because they want the reaction. A woman named Sophia noticed this after constantly comparing her life online. Every month, someone seemed to be traveling somewhere amazing, buying something new, living a better life. So she started chasing the same feeling. But eventually, she realized something important. She wasn't building memories. She was building pressure. The financial cost was real. The emotional reward was temporary. The comparison never ended. This is where many people get trapped. They are not spending money on happiness. They are spending money on proof. Proof that they are successful. Proof that they belong. Proof that they are keeping up. But financial freedom often comes when you stop trying to prove your life to other people. The people who build lasting wealth understand something. The best life is not always the one that looks the most impressive. It is the one that gives you the most freedom. And the final two items reveal some of the biggest money mistakes people make without even realizing it.